But Mark, let's move on into our final topic. And what we are looking at is, I'm going to call this a viewer requested topic or a listener requested topic, because on our mock draft, how we always do it is we give our mock draft, but then we don't talk about every team. We kind of look at some of the ones that are interesting, the ones we could do, and we kind of let the conversation flow. Well, there were a ton of people that were like, well, where's my Chargers? I came in to see my Chargers. I want to know what my Chargers should do. Talk about the Chargers pick. So here's what we're going to do. We've done this for the Bears. We've done this for the Browns. We've done this for the Buccaneers. Someone said, hey, tell us what you think the Buccaneers should do. We said, sure, we're going to talk about it. So we're going to do it with the Chargers. 17th overall pick. In our mock draft, just to refresh your memories, I had them go with Derwin James, who fell to them. You had them go with Billy Price. According to NFL.com, the 4 top needs for the Chargers: offensive tackle, inside linebacker, quarterback, and defensive line. I will ask you this. Who should the Chargers take with the 17th overall pick?
Yeah, I think offensive line is a great way to go, but I don't necessarily know where they are, whether or not there's going to be the value at offensive line for them. I do want to throw it out there that if one of these quarterbacks falls, the Chargers should take him. You know, I almost said something else.
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers will not be around forever, is what it comes down to. Get somebody who you can start to groom, you can have that air. You know, just like Alex Smith in Kansas City. Get Mahomes that can be there. Of course, they're not going to kick Rivers out like
you're
Alex
saying
Smith
like a Baker if a Josh Rosen falls.
Yeah, if one of these guys falls somehow into the later teens, go for him. What I think is more likely is they can get one of these linebackers. Rashaan Evans, Raquan Smith. If they can get one of these guys who I think we both think they will be off the board by this point, but they might be people who fall back, especially if these quarterbacks go all early. These could be guys that fall into the teens, and I think that would be a perfect fit for the Chargers because either one of these guys I would say is probably the best linebacker for the Chargers if they get drafted there.
One of the best players that I would say if he fell to them, it would be looking a gift horse in the mouth. And it's a guy that I had at 11. You had him. Oh, we both had him at 11. It's one of those rare picks. Vita Vea.
Oh, yeah.
Because there were some in the comment section of our mock draft for 11 through 21 that were like, no way the Dolphins go with defensive tackle. All right, let's say that's the case. They don't go with a defensive tackle. Vita Vea, what if he falls? If Vita Vea is there at 13 or there at 17, you take him. Could you imagine Melvin Ingram, Joey Bosa, Vita Vea in the middle being your, like, the pro comp that he's been compared to is a Haloti Ngata? I'll take that. I'll take Bosa, Ingram, and a Vita Vea for the middle. Like, that's one guy where I'm not expecting him to be there, but that's one where that could be a huge need for you. It's not our number one need, but man, I can't believe he is here, and we got to take Vea at 17.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he was there, but I mean, that could be such a valuable part to this team because, I mean, you've got a great offense established. You've got a lot of great pieces on defense. Really, you know, you want to get that guy in the middle, or you want to get that guy in the middle on the linebacker side, you know? You want to get some of these interior parts that really can kind of take this team to that next level because the Chargers were a 9-7 team last year. They were not that far away from being able to be a playoff team. I think that's the kind of thing where if they get that defense just one more step forward beyond just having this great pass rush, that would be phenomenal to move them that next step, especially in the, you know, AFC West, which is going to have some question marks this coming season.
Now, the thing I'm looking at is offensive tackle, obviously. And the thing that I'm looking at for the Chargers is actually O-line in general. Or no, offensive tackle. I was looking at the Seahawks for a second. That wasn't right. But they've got they need an upgrade over Russell Okung, and they need one over Joe Barksdale at both tackle positions. Here's what I'm thinking. Is there a chance, because in my mock draft, I technically had them passing on Orlando Brown, who went right below them because Derwin James was there, although they don't need a safety. There was also Mike McGlinchey there as well. Is there a possibility that maybe there's a guy like a Vea, like a Roquan Smith, maybe like a tackle they want to go up and get because they don't think he's going to fall? Could trading up be an option for them? Or is this one of those picks where it's like, nope, they're going to stay pat. I don't think there's any trading involved. But like we said that last year, and then you look, the Texans move up, the Chiefs move up, and they get quarterbacks.
I would be surprised if the Chargers traded up. They do have multiple needs, so there's different directions that they can go. So, whether that's linebacker, whether that's tackle, whether that's defensive line, whether they somehow manage to luck into one of these quarterbacks they can groom. I really doubt that this is a team that can trade up. The only reason I could see them potentially trading up is if we're getting to this point where, let's just say Rosen has fallen, further than people thought. We're sitting there at the Redskins 13, maybe Green Bay 14. Maybe they want to trade up a few picks to see if they can get this guy to groom for the future. But I wouldn't expect them to trade up for Vita Vea, Roquan Smith. I wouldn't expect necessarily those because they'll have other options of what they can go for.
Here's another one, and I'm looking right now at an article, boltsfromtheblue.com, which is the SB Nation site for the SB Nation site for the Chargers. And what they have is an article here, I'll put it in the description of, it's a Chargers mock draft roundup, and this is from February, but the prospects there, a few of them are still usable, and there's a lot of them. They've got like one of the guys from SB Nation, another guy from NFL.com, another one from DraftTech.com, all going with Derwin James, Florida State. Guy that I had him fall to, and the one that I like description-wise is Dan Kadar from SB Nation saying that James, he talked about Adrian Phillips, who played a ton at linebacker. He says James would be an upgrade, and with Gus Bradley's track record with box safeties, James is an intriguing prospect. James has gained a ton of steam of late, then has shot up draft boards. If the Chargers can steal him at 17, it may be one of the biggest wins come draft night. And the thing that I think of with that is, he shot up draft boards early, but I think of late, Derwin's been kind of falling a little bit. Maybe it's because of the quarterback discussion early on. We don't know what's going to go on there. Other guys moving up, like a Marcus Davenport or Roquan Smith from the 1.0s, a Denzel Ward, who is now a top 10 pick in most mock drafts. The thing with the Chargers that I think will be interesting with their pick overall is they will have needs, but I will not be surprised if this is a pick come 17 that the Chargers just go, you know what? Our needs are here. Fuck it. We're going BPA. Sure. We're going with best player available. And in my mind, if Derwin James is there, I know you don't need a safety. I know he's kind of like that box safety. He can play linebacker and safety position. I think they would be and say, hey, you know what? BPA, let's go Derwin James, load up that defense, and get a guy that can help us in the secondary.
I think you could. And BPA is always a solid, route to take.
They're right on the fringe of like that, right on the fringe where it's middle to top, where it's like the top you can go more towards needs, where if you're a playoff team, you're more going which player is going to be the best player for me to pick.
And they're also one of those teams where they are on that fringe of it can go either way. I mean, if things just don't necessarily go your way, you're no longer one of these teams that are almost a wild card. Or the flip side is you get in there, you get the right players, and all of a sudden, hey, now you're in. Now you can get that wild card. Maybe you can even win the division over in the West. So there's a lot of potential with the LA Chargers. And really what it comes down to for me when I'm thinking about this team is this is a team that really is going to depend on how many quarterbacks go early to where it bumps a Vita Vea, it bumps a Roquan Smith, a Derwin James, whoever it might be. It bumps some of these needs out of the top 10, so they're falling and kind of sparks some things, changes some things. They're a team that hopes that the Arizona Cardinals jump on a Lamar Jackson or something like that. They want one of these surprises to happen. They're hoping that somebody decides, sure, we'll go, maybe we'll go and jump on a running back. Or maybe we'll be the team that, like a second running back. We'll be a team that reaches on some guy where people are going, really? That wide receiver is who you're going to take? That's what the Chargers really need, is somebody else to let somebody fall.
I wouldn't be surprised also if the Chargers at this pick, if there's somebody, let's say it's somebody that they didn't want to fall, like a Vita Vea, for example. But if there's another guy where it's like, all right, he's falling, ring, 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 let me pick up this phone right here because a team below us is like, oh, shoot, that guy's falling. We can move on. Let's move up a couple picks. Let's see if we can call the Chargers. They could be a team that another team calls to try to move up and get a guy that they possibly are like, yeah, we don't really need him. What are you thinking about giving us for the 17th overall pick?
Sure, I think they could do that definitely, but 17 is one of those weird spots where, you're not too much is going on at 17 for people to trade up into. It's not like one of those times where someone's trading up to get their quarterback. If somebody was falling out of the top 10, let's say a huge surprise happens. A guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick falls out of the top 10. Teams are calling and jumping at 11 and 12. They're going to jump on. They're not going to wait around till 17 for something like that. So, the Seahawks would be a perfect example of a team that would want to trade up in that type of situation. Or if it's a Denzel Ward falling further than people thought, maybe they want to trade up. But although the Seahawks have quite a few needs of their own, so they can really wait and just take whoever is available for them.
Well, and just to show, the first thing I thought of was let's look back at the history. I'm just going back last 5 years of the 17th overall pick. And I'll let you pick. Do you want me to start with the oldest, which would be 2013, and go up?
Oldest.
Okay. So in 2013, the 7th overall pick was taken by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they took the linebacker out of Georgia, Jarvis Jones. Not probably the best of pick, but they stayed there, stayed put. Guys that went after, like Eric Reed, Kyle Long, Eifert, Trufant, Xavier Rhodes. There were guys that went after that really good. 17th in 2014, the Ravens took C.J. Mosley, the linebacker from Alabama. Then in 2015, the Niners went with the defensive end out of Oregon, Eric Armstead. 2016, the Falcons went with Keanu Neal, the safety from Florida. And then last year's draft at 17, the Washington Redskins took Jonathan Allen, who was a faller for us last year, as we did the topic last year for last year's draft of Jonathan Allen versus a Solomon Thomas, which was one of our big topics. I think we did a second one with that, if I'm not mistaken. I know we did one with Mitch and Deshaun as well. But through the last 5-year history, the one thing you do not see is teams trading back, teams trading up.
It's just not one of those hot spots to do it.
It's right there in the middle. It's like, it's to quote the song The Middle from Zed that's new, you're just stuck right there in the middle. Just stuck in the middle. If you're going to
quote a song The Middle, it should at least be Jimmy Eat World.
It should be Jimmy. Well, that's what I thought of it first. I'm like, no.
I was pretty excited. I'm like, you're going to quote Jimmy Eat World on this podcast.
No, not Jimmy Eat World. Going with Zed. Brandon be happy because Brandon likes all the mainstream music. I think he's the most mainstream.
For as long as I've been a fan of Jimmy Eat World, it took me until I was 26 years old to finally see them live. And it was an awesome show.
They were live with when you saw Tool?
Incubus.
Oh, Incubus. I don't know why I said Tool.
Yeah. I've seen Tool.
Do you is Tool good live?
Yeah. I'm not a big Tool fan, but
Incubus I would have loved to see live.
Incubus is really good.
I like how
it was amazing. Both those were phenomenal.
From that night, Mark's a good friend.
Yeah.
When
I knew what you needed.
Ricky's favorite Incubus song comes on, he goes, it was a black screen, but I'm gonna record that Stellar for you.
Yeah, I was too far back to really get you anything nice looking, but it was great.
Just hearing it live, I felt like I was there. But any final thoughts on the Chargers and who they should take at 17? What they should do at 17.
I mean, they've got a lot of variety of what they can do. I don't think they should move at all. I think you just sit there and you get happy with what is available because one of these needs will be available for you.
Well, Charger fans, we talked about your team a little bit more so than we talked about any team, I would say, in the mock draft because we didn't go for a full segment on one team in that mock draft. But let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Who do you want at 17? What are you thinking for your team at 17 in the NFL draft? Want to thank you guys for either watching or listening to the podcast. Housekeeping here at the end. Make sure to check out Patreon.com. I almost said Most Valuable Podcast first. Patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. That's how you support the channel. That is how you become like Christian and get on a podcast each and every month. Also, check out that t-shirt in the store link down below. Get yourself one of those MVP t-shirts. They are really nice and really comfortable. MostValuablePodcast.com. That's where you're going to catch all of our stuff, no matter where it is. And then also the Apple Podcast. Please give the Onside Kick a 5-star rating. Check out the Outcast new podcast. Make sure we're 10 subscribers away. Actually, here at the end, I am going to look a live count
number
of where we are at. And we are at still 9,990. So during the podcast, nobody read my mind. Nobody is subscribed. 10 away. And probably at this point, I'm assuming we will hit it by the time this video goes up. But hey, if you're listening on a podcast service around the world, then you're like, you know what? I haven't subscribed on YouTube. I listen on Apple Podcasts. Go over and hit that subscribe button, even if that's not where you listen. It really helps us out just by hitting that subscriber button. Want to thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Want to thank you guys for listening to on podcast services around the world. But as always, have a good day, everybody.